Please do not listen to this recording whilst driving or operating any machinery. Hello there, my name is Ellen Booth and I am a registered clinical hypnotherapist. The definition of exposure therapy for drug addiction helps break the cycle of craving by desensitising the person to drug-related triggers. So you weaken and break the triggers and may even destroy them. Exposure therapy teaches the person to tolerate and manage the urge to use drugs by showing them that their triggers no longer automatically lead to drug-seeking behaviour, allowing for a more effective recovery process. Okay. For this hypnotherapy, I need you to be seated upright in your seats, with your back resting against the back of the chair, with your feet flat on the ground and your hands on your lap, uncrossing any arms, hands, legs or feet. And this is to allow circulation throughout your body when you are deeply relaxed. And your hands need to be resting on your lap. And this is for the process that we will be doing, which you will see when we get to that stage. And you can have your eyes open or closed as you wish, or you can open or close your eyes throughout is absolutely fine. And I just want you to know, to put you at ease, that you will be in full control of your own mind throughout the whole process. And you will be able to accept or reject any of the suggestions and ideas that you hear me say. But I'd like you to understand that all of those positive, beneficial suggestions and ideas that you hear me say, they are there so that you get the maximum full benefits of this therapy. So all of those suggestions and ideas, you can allow them to go deep in the back of your mind, causing a deep and lasting impression there. And you may find that those suggestions have such a strong impact on you. You may even hear their words echo in the back of your mind throughout your daily life. So you can allow all of the suggestions to have full impact, and you can use them as you wish throughout your daily life. Now, I'd just like you to focus on your breathing and notice how, as you breathe in, you breathe in calmness, relaxation and peace of mind. And with every breath that you breathe out, you breathe out any worries or tension. And this is a process that will continue throughout. With every breath you breathe in and out. And I'd just like you to know that as we continue on, you'll become more and more relaxed, calm and at peace. More and more as we continue. But not only physically in your body, relaxing deeper and deeper, but in your mind too. Physically, your whole body, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, can become so deeply relaxed with your breathing. As each and every breath you breathe out, at the same time as you breathe out, your body sinks down, deeper and deeper relaxed, more comfortable. And you may find that physically you become so deeply relaxed that there may be times that physically you are not even aware of your body at all. And mentally, your mind will begin to shut down, shutting out any thoughts, distractions, becoming calm and clear, no thoughts at all, just a calm, clear mind, and very aware, very highly alert, very aware of every word, each and every word you hear me say. A heightened state of concentration and awareness. Okay. Now, in a very short while, I will be taking you through a very powerful process. A process that will change the way you think, that will change the way that you think, behave, and function in certain ways. because now you are in a much more deeply relaxed state of mind, mentally and physically, under hypnosis, which means that your subconscious mind is now very open and accepting towards new ideas, positive suggestions that will help you and benefit you. And your conscious mind is aware and listening to each and every word of those suggestions that you hear me say. And your conscious mind understands each and every word of those suggestions. But your conscious mind has taken a backbench. It sits at the back of your mind, just listening and allowing your subconscious mind to be influenced so that you benefit, so that you make improvements to your life, so that you better yourself and better your life, and so that you move forward with changes that I shall be helping you with. And these changes to your subconscious mind, your subconscious mind being responsible for all of your habits, behaviour, thoughts, feelings and emotions. These changes are going to turn your life around, and these changes are to help you overcome and resolve drug addiction, to resolve your drug habits, because you have a drug habit that you wish to resolve, and your drug habit is caused by many triggers, many associations that trigger you to have the desire to go and seek drugs. Your triggers cause you desire to go and search and find drugs in order to feed your habits. Now, the habit is one thing, but it's the triggers that cause the desire. It is what triggers the desire in the first place. And you are very aware of just how much you really want to stop the drugs. You're aware of how much that you want to stop the drugs. You're aware of how long that you have been trying to stop the drugs. Maybe it's a short time, maybe it's been for a long time. There's probably little or nothing that anyone can tell you about your addiction that you do not already know. You know that you have this addiction, that you have to live with, beyond your control. And it is those triggers causing the desire in the first place. You have tried to stop. You wish to stop. And you may have done much work on trying to stop. You may have stopped for a length of time, however short or long. And without fail, inevitably, something triggers your desire. You could have quit the drugs for 5 years, and something could trigger it. And then all of a sudden you're back to square one. Because those triggers need to be resolved. Every single one of them needs to be resolved. And I'm going to help you resolve every single trigger that you can become aware of and acknowledge. You may be aware of certain triggers. There might be triggers that you are not aware of. But I'm going to help you resolve every single one of them within your awareness and beyond your awareness. I'm going to help you break the cycle. I'm going to help you resolve every single one of those triggers. And then once you have resolved all of those triggers, you can then destroy the memory of any of those triggers, because you will no longer need to hang on to any knowledge about those triggers, because once they're resolved, you can destroy them, so that you never have to even think about them ever again. And what you will be left with is just the resolution of how you resolved them. And what that will do is automatically allow you to behave and act in the right way. And most of the time you will not even be aware that you will be acting in the right way, because it will happen automatically. It will function automatically without you even realising most of the time that you're acting out the resolution that you resolved it with. So that is the process that I'm going to take you through. And just before I begin this process, it may be a little lengthy and it is very thorough, but I'll take you through the whole process, step by step, and all as you need to do is just relax and listen and follow each and every word you hear me say, and I will guide you through this process with very clear instruction. And at the end of the process, at the end of it all, you can look to your future, the future that you would have bettered your life with. Now, just before I begin, I'd like to explain to you quickly about your inner senses that you will be using in the process. You have an inner visual sense called your mind's eye that sees all of the inner thoughts, pictures, images, colours in relation to all of your thoughts. And your mind's eye can see so clearly. It can be as clear as when you are dreaming when you sleep at night. And your mind's eye sees just as clearly as the physical eyes on your face see the outside world outside of you in your daily life. And your mind's eye sees exactly the same, but sees everything in your inner world inside your minds. And your mind's eye can see so clearly. You may even wonder if the physical eyes on your face are open or closed, because you may not be able to tell that your physical eyes on your face are actually closed because your mind's eye sees so clearly. Okay. And you also have the inner sense of auditory hearing, where just like the ears on the side of your head hear everything on the outside of you that happens in your daily life, your inner auditory hearing hears all of the sounds of all of your thoughts. Have you ever had a song go round in your head and been able to play music in your mind, and you can hear the music just as clearly as if it was playing out loud for real in your imagination? And your auditory inner hearing hears all of the words in your inner self-talk. It hears the words that you may say in your mind, the words that tell you your thoughts. So you had this mind's eye and auditory inner sense of hearing. And you will be able to use those senses throughout the whole process that I'm going to take you through, to visualise inside your mind so clearly and vividly your auditory inner hearing, hearing so clearly, to each and every word you hear me say. Now, I am going to begin the process of the exposure therapy. Okay. Now, in a few moments' time, when I give you the go-ahead to do so, I want you to think of all of the things, each and every single one of them, that trigger your drug use. Starting from your biggest trigger, the biggest trigger that makes you go and get the drugs. I want you to make a list in your mind, a list with the worst, the absolute worst trigger, the most common trigger at the top of the list. Going down the list in the order of the worst trigger to the least worst trigger. And this list that you make of every single trigger, starting from the worst going down to the least, this list can be as long as necessary. It has to cover every single trigger, from the worst down to the least, every single one. And in order to do this, in order to make this sequential list of worst to the least worst triggers, I'm going to give you 3 minutes, 3 minutes of silence. And in that 3 minutes of silence, you can prepare your list using your mind's eye, your inner vision, your inner sight, to visualise the trigger, and your inner auditory sense of hearing, to hear the trigger, to hear any sounds associated with that trigger, to even hear yourself say the words for each and every trigger in your mind. So you say the words for every single trigger in your mind. so you can visualise the trigger and hear yourself say every trigger in your mind as you go down the list, from the worst trigger down to the least trigger. Okay, and now I give you that 3 minutes of silence now to do so. Okay, so now that you have established all of your triggers, each and every one of them in sequential order, of the worst, most common trigger at the top of the list and the least at the bottom of the list, I am now going to take you through a process in order to resolve and then destroy the trigger, annihilate, obliterate, and total destruction of all of your triggers. Now, at the beginning, I asked if you could have both of your hands on your lap. Now, we have come to the part where we need to very soon use those hands for the process. I would like you with your dominant hands, the hand that you use the most, and if you're ambidextrous, you can choose the hand that you feel is most suitable to use. And that hand, I want you to turn it over with the palm facing upwards. Turn that dominant hand over with the palm facing upwards. Now, as you focus all of your attention on the palm of your hand, begin to raise it into the air, away from your lap, slowly moving it towards your forehead. And not just physically slowly moving it, but your subconscious mind also takes control of some of the movement of that hand, moving it nearer up towards your forehead, so that very soon your hands will touch your forehead and you can gently wrap your hand around your forehead. Now, what you now need to do is transfer from your mind, transfer the worst, most common trigger at the top of the list, to transfer it into that hand. Maybe visually you see it transfer in your mind, maybe you feel it, physically feel it in your forehead, in your hand being transferred. Maybe you hear it, maybe you hear the sounds of it transferring over. And in your own time of completing this transfer, your hand will then return to your lap with the palm facing upwards, and I'm going to allow you 30 seconds of silence in order to give you enough time to do this. And I give you that 30 seconds of silence now. Okay, and if your hand has not already returned to your lap, it can begin to return to your lap on completion of transfer. Now, what you now need to do is to think in your mind and find a healthy, safe, appropriate solution in your mind that would resolve this trigger. to think and find a solution that is healthy, safe and appropriate, that would resolve the trigger, resolve the worst, most common trigger, allowing that trigger to be totally resolved on a permanent basis. A solution that works, a solution that would resolve that trigger. And in order to do this, to allow your conscious mind to know what you are aware of, and your subconscious mind to give you information that you may not be aware of yet. Your conscious and subconscious mind both work together in finding this resolution that will resolve the trigger for you. And I'm going to give you 1 minute of silence in order to do so. Okay, now that resolution that will resolve the trigger that you have just established, you can be very aware and have it very clear in your minds. Very aware and have it very clear in your minds. Because now what you need to do is focus your attention on the other hand. The other hand, the non-dominant hand, and turn it over so that the palm of your hand is facing upwards. Focusing your attention on that hand. And just as you did before, allow that hand to raise in the air, moving towards your forehead. Your subconscious mind taking control of some of the slow movement as it moves towards your forehead. And when it meets your forehead, that hand will gently wrap around your forehead. And when it does so, what you then need to do is to mentally transfer that resolution into your hand, that resolution that will resolve the trigger. Transfer it to the hands. And again, maybe you visually see the transfer in your mind, or you feel it in your head, in your hand, or you hear the sounds of that transfer. And when it has transferred, only when it has completely transferred will your hand return to your lap with the palm facing upwards. And I will allow you 30 seconds of silence in order to do so. Okay, and if your hand has not already returned to your lap, you can finish off and complete the transfer, allowing your hand to return to your lap when it has done so. Okay. Now, with both hands on your lap with the palms facing upwards, if your eyes are not already open, you can open them now and you can take a look at those hands. You can take a look at the hand that has the worst, most common trigger in that hand. The worst trigger that was at the top of the list. Look at that trigger in your hand. See what it looks like. There may be visions, there may be colours associated with that trigger. Maybe you feel it, maybe you feel the weight of it in your hand, in your fingers. Maybe you hear the sounds of that trigger as you hold it in that hand. And take a look at the other hand that has the resolution that you are holding in that hand. The visions, all the colours of it, the way it feels as you hold it in your hand and fingers, how it sounds. And just take a moment of your time to look at those hands and appreciate what both of those hands represents for you. Because now what you need to do is raise both of your hands in the air about 12 inches, a foot away from your lap, so that your hands are turned to the side with the palms facing each other a distance apart. Now, in a few moments, when I give you the go-ahead and the instruction to do so, your hands will slowly begin to magnetize towards each other. They will slowly draw closer together as if they are being magnetized like a magnet, pulling and drawing them together. And you will not there will be no need to physically move your hands, because your subconscious mind needs and will take over the movement and control the movement of those hands. Your subconscious mind will magnetize both your hands together. And when your hands meet, they will clasp together. And that worst, most common trigger at the top of the list will be wiped out by the resolution, the solution that will resolve that trigger. The trigger will be wiped out. It will be taken over. It will be dominated by the solution. The solution will overpower that trigger. The solution will completely engulf the trigger and will resolve it, solve it, and wipe it out. And what you will be left with is just the solution. Only the solution will then exist. The trigger will be gone, and you will only be left with the solution. And I give you the go ahead now, the instruction now for your hands to begin to draw together. And I will give you 1 minute of silence for this process to complete for you now. Okay, now that your trigger, the worst trigger, the most common trigger, has been wiped out, completely wiped out now, and all that remains now is only the solution in its place. Now, what you need to do now is to choose one of your hands that will represent the solution, and to slowly raise that hand away from the other towards your forehead, to gently wrap that hand around your forehead, and to transfer that solution into your mind, to put back what you took, but you put the solution back in its place of what you took. And I will allow you 30 seconds of silence in order to do this now. Okay. can leave your hand there for as long as you need to in order to do so. If you need longer, or if you have done so, your hands, both of your hands can return to your lap. Now, what you need to do now is any memory of your old trigger, the knowledge of the old trigger that has now been resolved with a healthy, safe, appropriate solution. That old trigger, the knowledge of it, the memory of it, there is no need to keep it. There is no need to hold on to it. There is no need for it to be anywhere in your mind whatsoever now. So what you need to do is to destroy it, annihilate it, obliterate it, allow total destruction of the knowledge and memory of what that trigger was. Total destruction, so that any memory of the trigger, so it no longer even exists anymore anywhere in your mind, because you destroy it. Because your healthy, safe and appropriate solution will now just automatically happen without you ever even really thinking about it, or even realizing that you are automatically carrying out your healthy, safe, appropriate, better solution that you have now resolved with. Now, with all of your other triggers that are left on your list in your mind right now, from the top of the list all the way down to the bottom, each and every one of those triggers that are left on the list, you can now select all of them, select each and every single one of them together right now. Select all of them at the same time. Select them all together, select them all at once. And now what you need to do is your dominant hands on your lap. Have the palm facing upwards once again. And exactly as you did before, you raise it up to your forehead. And you transfer over to that hand every single remaining trigger on the list. Transfer them over. Maybe you visually see it or hear it or feel it transferring over. And when you have done so, your hand will return to your lap. And I'm going to give you 1 minute of silence in order to do this. Okay. And you can allow that hand to return to your lap once the transfer has completed. Now, what you need to do is establish a solution in your mind, just as you did before. Establish, find, discover a solution. Using your conscious awareness of what you know would resolve those triggers. Allowing your subconscious mind to allow you to become aware of anything that will help and resolve all of those triggers. So your conscious mind and subconscious mind work together to find a resolution, a solution that will resolve each and every single one of those remaining triggers. And I'm going to give you 30 seconds of silence to establish this solution now. Okay. Now, what you need to do now is your non-dominant hands, just as you did before. With the palm facing upwards, you raise it towards your forehead, allowing it to lift, moving towards your forehead, wrapping your hand around your forehead. And just as you did before, you transfer that solution from your mind over to that hand. Maybe you visually see it, hear it or feel it transferring over. And when the transfer is complete, your hands will return to your lap, and I will allow you 30 seconds of silence to do so. Okay, and your hands, on completion of transfer, returns to your lap. Now, just as we did before, both of your hands, raise them in the air about 12 inches, a foot away from your lap. Raise both your hands in the air, holding them to the side so that the palms face each other a distance apart. And when I give you the go-ahead and the instruction to do so, The same as your hands merged together previously, those hands will magnetize together like a magnet. Your subconscious mind will completely take control of the movement of those hands. Your subconscious mind will draw them together until they become one and merge when they clasp together. And when I give you the go-ahead and they merge and clasp together, that resolution, that solution will completely wipe out every single trigger that is left on the list. It will wipe every remaining trigger, will wipe them out completely, and then what you will be left with is just the solution. And I give you the go-ahead in the instruction to do that now, and I will give you 1 minute of silence to do so. Okay, and on completion of this process, your hands can then return to your lap. And the hands, as before, that represents the solution that you have been left with now. The chosen hand that represents that solution. You raise it in the air towards your forehead. You touch your forehead, wrap your hand around your forehead. And you transfer back that solution into your mind. You put that solution back. You put that solution back from what you took away. You put the solution back in replacement of what you took away. And I will give you 30 seconds of silence to do so. Okay, and you can leave your hand there for as long as you need to, and when the transfer is complete, your hand returns to your lap in your own time. Now, what you need to do now, just to complete this process that is now coming to an end very shortly, what you now need to do is any memory of those triggers, any memory and knowledge of all of those triggers that were on the list, each and every one of them that has now been resolved with a healthy, safe, appropriate solution. You now can destroy, obliterate, annihilate, total destruction of the memory and the knowledge of every single one of those triggers. Any memory or knowledge of those triggers, so that none of them exist anymore, that you have destroyed each and every one of them, so that they no longer exist anywhere in your minds. As your healthy, safe and appropriate solution will now just automatically happen without you even really thinking about it or even realising that you are automatically carrying out and doing your healthy, safe, appropriate, better solution that you have now resolved all of those triggers with. Okay, so now you have completed the process of the exposure therapy, and now you can look forwards to having the control over your life that you want and will now have. The freedom, the happiness, the joy, the success, a better future, a better life. Happier now with all of the things in your life that matter the most to you. Now, in a few moments' time, I'm going to awaken you and end the hypnotherapy. But just before I awaken you, I just want you to know that there is no need for you to ever look back at all of those unnecessary things that you have destroyed and let go of. No need to ever think about them ever again. Because the solution that you created, the solution is now so prominent in your life that solution will happen so naturally for you, so naturally, so automatic. It will be like it's the way that it has always been, so natural, so second nature, that you may not even realise that you are doing it, because the solution is the way it is from now on. A natural occurring process that just happens automatically in its own way, and will be the control over your life that you now have. Okay, In a few moments' time, you'll hear me count from 1 to 10. You'll become more and more awake with each ascending number. By the count of 8, you'll open your eyes, and by the count of 10, you'll be fully wide awake. 1, 2, 3, waking yourself up now. 4, 5, 6, more and more awake. 7, 8, opening your eyes. 9 and 10, fully wide awake.